For 600 years, everyone believed Earth was gone. The last report said it was destroyed during the Orion siege, a massive war that left planets burning across the stars. No signals. No survivors. No ships ever came back. The galaxy moved on. Alien empires took over human colonies. Some worlds were renamed. Others were mined until they were dry. The Galactic Council wrote one final line in the archives. Earth, desolate. Human species, extinct. And just like that, humanity became a ghost. A forgotten name in old war books. But that all changed one day in the NEMA system. The Galactic Council's flagship, HFYHub, was on a routine patrol. The Council, led by the Varn Dominion, ruled most of the galaxy now. Peace was enforced through power. Their fleets were unmatched. Or so they thought. On that day, scanners picked up something strange, a ripple in space. It wasn't a comet. It wasn't a cargo ship. It was something much faster, too fast. Then it appeared. A single ship tore out of subspace with a loud, cracking pulse. The hull was black, sharp, and long. The engines glowed red like burning coals. The ship had battle scars along its side, deep cuts from old fights. But it was still flying strong. Across the hull, in fading white letters, it read, UNS Requiem, Earth Navy. The command deck of the HFYHub went silent. Impossible, said Admiral Telvar, a tall Varn with silver skin. Humans are extinct. One of the tech officers spoke up. It's real, Admiral. And, they're hailing us. Hailing us? From that relic? Yes, sir. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. Put it through. A voice came through the speakers. It was calm, cold, and human. This is Commander Eli Voss of the United Nations Starfleet. You are occupying former human space. You have one chance to stand down. The bridge exploded with noise. They're bluffing, one officer shouted. They're insane, said another. But the Admiral stayed quiet. He was old enough to remember stories from the Orion War. Stories about Earth's final stand. The humans had been fierce, clever, dangerous. And now, one of them had returned. He stared at the warship on the screen. It wasn't big by modern standards. But something about it felt alive. He sent a reply. This is Admiral Telvar of the Galactic Council. Earth is no more. You have no claim here. Power down your ship and prepare to be boarded. There was silence. Then the human spoke again. Wrong answer. In less than a second, the Requiem moved. It dodged 3 plasma bolts from the escort cruisers and returned fire. The human ship fired a beam weapon that sliced one Council ship clean in half. The other 2 were hit with EMP blasts that shut down their engines. The battle lasted just 43 seconds. The HFYHub didn't fire. Admiral Telvar just watched. He couldn't believe it. One human ship just took out 3 Council cruisers without breaking a sweat. The Requiem sent one last message before vanishing into subspace again. We are not dead. We are not lost. We are humanity. And we have returned. Far away, deep in the unknown sectors, the Requiem slowed to cruising speed. Inside the command deck, Commander Eli Voss sat in silence, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. This was just the beginning. Behind him, his crewmen and women born in hidden colonies and deep space stations worked without speaking. Every one of them had lost something to the war centuries ago. Family. Home. Hope. They had trained their whole lives for this mission. They weren't explorers. They weren't diplomats. They were the last children of Earth, and they had one purpose: take back what was stolen. Voss looked down at the small photo tucked into the side of his console. It was old. Faded. Two parents and a child smiling, before the war took everything. He whispered under his breath, for them. Then he gave the order. Set course for the next system. Let the council know, we're not done. The Galactic Council was in panic. News of the Requiem's attack spread fast. 3 ships destroyed. No casualties on the human side. One message repeated across every open frequency. We are not dead. We are not lost. We are humanity. And we have returned. In the Grand Hall of the Council, leaders of the strongest alien empires gathered. The Varn. The Kalari. The Morsik. They all wanted answers. Is this a joke? Asked High Speaker Ralik of the Morsik, slamming his claws on the table. Humans were wiped out. No, replied Admiral Telvar quietly. They weren't. We just didn't look hard enough. The Kalari ambassador hissed. Then where have they been all these centuries? The room fell silent. No one knew. But deep inside, they all feared the same thing. What if humanity had been hiding, and preparing? Far across the stars, the Requiem reached its next target, Delta 9, a former human mining world now controlled by the Council. Once, millions of humans lived there. Now, it was a slave colony. The Varn used it to mine rare metals. The workers were mostly exiled species, and a few surviving human bloodlines dirty, broken, forgotten. Commander Eli Voss stood on the deck of his ship, looking at the hologram of the planet. This was ours, he said. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Gray, nodded. Still is. She was born on a drifting station near a black hole. She never saw Earth. Never saw grass. But she knew the stories. Her parents told her every night before sleep. One day, humanity will rise again. That day had come. Voss gave the order. Drop cloak. Prepare for orbit breach. The Requiem lit up as it tore into the planet's skies. Anti-aircraft guns opened fire from the surface, but they were old, Council tech. Slow. The Requiem dodged them like wind through broken glass. Inside the main mining facility, a Varn overseer stared at the alert screens. Human ship detected. He laughed. One ship. Then the roof exploded. Steel and fire rained down as the Requiem dropped a shock squad into the facility. Clad in black armor, human soldiers moved fast and silent. They used magnetic rifles, sonic grenades, and stealth tech that confused enemy sensors. In just 20 minutes, the colony was theirs. The human prisoners didn't speak at first. They were thin, weak, and afraid. One of them, a young girl, looked up at Voss as he walked into the prison yard. Her voice shook. Are you real? He knelt beside her. What's your name? Lena. You're free now, Lena. Humanity is back. Tears filled her eyes. Then something unexpected happened slowly. The other prisoners stood. They began to sing. It was an old song. A song from Earth. A song no alien would understand. And the soldiers of the Requiem stood still, heads bowed, listening to the sound of their people, remembering who they were. Back on the Requiem, Mara looked at Voss as they prepared to leave orbit. We can't do this forever. We're one ship. Voss nodded. We won't be alone much longer. He pressed a button on the console. All units, this is Requiem Alpha. Operation Phoenix is a go. In deep space, hundreds of cloak signals activated. Across abandoned spaceports, rogue colonies, hidden fleets, and forgotten stations the call went out. Earth lives. Assemble. And across the galaxy, thousands of humans generations raised in exile heard the signal. Some cried. Some cheered. Some simply stood up, grabbed their old weapons, and whispered. It's time. Back on the Galactic Council homeworld, A messenger ran into the hall during an emergency meeting. High speakers, our outer sensors just picked up multiple human signatures. It's not just one ship. It's a fleet. The council froze. How many? Telvar asked. The messenger looked pale. Too many to count. In the dark of space, the Requiem joined with 3 more ships, old Earth destroyers, rebuilt in silence. Commander Voss looked out at the stars. This isn't a war, he said. Mara frowned. Then what is it? He smiled, not with joy, but with purpose. It's a return. The Council didn't want a war. At least, not at first. They still believed the human fleet was a bluff, a group of pirates using old Earth tech to scare them. But then came the reports. Real battles. Real losses. One by one, Council colonies in the Outer Rim went dark. No signals. No survivors. Just a simple message, repeated over and over. This system has been liberated by the United Nations Starfleet. The age of silence is over. In less than 2 weeks, 11 systems had fallen back under human control. The Council could no longer deny the truth. Humanity had survived. And it had returned with fire. On board the UNS Requiem, Commander Eli Voss stood in front of a war map. Red dots marked enemy fleets. Blue dots marked human-controlled sectors. There were only a few blue dots now, but each day, they spread farther. Mara entered the room with fresh intel. We've received signals from 3 hidden colonies, she said. They're ready to join the fight. Voss looked at the map. Good. The Council will hit back hard. We need to strike first. He pointed at a blinking red dot near the center of the map. Target, Chorus Station. Council hub. High value. If we take it, we cut their supply lines to half the sector. Mara raised an eyebrow. That's a fortress. Voss nodded. And Earth used to build fortresses. He looked around at the officers on the bridge. We didn't survive all these years just to hide again. Every ship we take, every system we reclaim, it brings us one step closer to home. In orbit above Chorus Station, the Requiem and 4 other Earth warships dropped out of subspace. The station was massive, ring-shaped, armed with cannons the size of buildings. Hundreds of Council ships waited nearby. They were ready. What they weren't ready for was what came next. As the Earth fleet approached, dozens of smaller ships deployed behind the Council line, rogue fighters, old mining haulers retrofitted with guns, stealth ships from forgotten human factions. A hidden army. All human. Chorus Control sent out a distress signal. We are under siege. Multiple human fleets. Unknown numbers. And then silence. Inside the Requiem, Voss gave the order. All ships, full charge. No mercy. The battle began. It wasn't clean. It wasn't quick. But it was personal. The humans fought like ghosts with vengeance in their blood. They used tactics the Council hadn't seen in centuries: jumps between asteroids, silent boardings, EMP nets, gravity mines. Mara led a strike team through the station's lower levels. Blaster fire echoed in the dark. One by one, they cleared the halls. No prisoners. No fear. Outside, the Requiem faced down a destroyer twice its size. Voss didn't blink. He knew every inch of his ship. He ordered a direct ram into the enemy's weak point, sacrificing the upper decks to take out the ship's core. The explosion lit up space like a dying sun. When the dust settled, Chorus Station was human once again. On the surface of the reclaimed station, Voss stood among the ruins. His armor was cracked. His voice was hoarse. But his eyes were sharp. He looked into the camera drone and began recording. To all surviving human colonies. This is Commander Eli Voss. We have taken Chorus. The Council can no longer hide behind their lies. You are not alone. Earth lives. And we are coming home. Far away, on a broken moon orbiting a dead planet, a young boy watched the message with wide eyes. He turned to his mother. Is that true? Earth is alive. She nodded, tears falling from her eyes. She hadn't heard Earth's name spoken with pride in decades. It's alive. And it's fighting back. Back in the grand hall of the council, the panic was over. Now came the anger. This cannot continue, growled High Speaker Rallick. We must crush them. Admiral Telvar stood alone at the edge of the table. You tried that once. 600 years ago. And it didn't work. Rallick turned to him. Then what do you suggest? Telvar stared at the hologram of Earth. Silent. Blue. Beautiful. I suggest we prepare for the worst. Because humans never stop. Back on the Requiem, the crew prepared for the next jump. More battles waited. More systems needed to be freed. But something had changed. Now, everywhere they went, humans were rising. Old flags were being pulled from boxes. Songs long forgotten were sung again. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy whispered a single word with fear and respect. Earth. Commander Eli Voss stood on the bridge of the UNS Requiem, staring at the map. Blue lights marked every system humanity had taken back. 1 month ago, there were 0. Now there were 27. But Voss didn't smile. His eyes were locked on 1.1 glowing dot in the center of the galaxy. Solution Earth. His home. It was time. Far away, deep in council space, Earth still floated in silence. The planet had no defenses. No fleet. No signal. The cities were ruins. The atmosphere was damaged, but still alive. The council kept one thing in orbit, a single station Sentinel Prime, a monument and a warning. No one went near Earth without council permission. For centuries, Earth was watched, but never touched. Until now. The human fleet was no longer just 5 ships. Dozens had joined, rebuilt cruisers, smuggler vessels, even old colony freighters with mounted guns. Each ship carried a crew who had one thing in common. They were all descendants of Earth. And they were ready to come home. On board the Requiem, the crew prepared for the biggest mission yet. Mara Gray checked the weapons systems. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded. She turned to Voss. You really think Earth is still there? Voss didn't answer right away. I don't care if it's dust. We still go back. That planet is more than land, it's who we are. He looked at his crew, then opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Commander Eli Voss. We make our jump in 1 hour. The Council will try to stop us. Let them try. Today, we return to Earth. Cheers echoed through the ships. For many, this was more than a battle. It was a homecoming. Meanwhile, at Sentinel Prime, alarms began to ring. The station commander, a hardened Varn named Enitril, watched his screens in disbelief. Multiple warp signatures detected, his officer said. Human ships. At least 40. Enitril narrowed his eyes. All hands to battle stations. If they want Earth back, they'll have to go through us. The human fleet burst into real space just outside Earth's orbit. For a moment, there was silence. The blue and white sphere hung below them, battered, but still beautiful. Many in the fleet cried. Some had never seen Earth before, only stories, old photos, or recordings. But they felt it in their blood. This was home. And they were not letting it go again. Then, Sentinel Prime opened fire. Massive plasma cannons lit up the sky. The battle began. Voss gave the order. All ships engage. No retreat. The human fleet moved like a wave. The Requiem led the charge, dodging heavy fire and striking hard at the station's outer defenses. Inside Sentinel Prime, panic spread. "These aren't pirates," one officer shouted. "They're trained. Organized." Anitrile roared. "Then we fight like this is the last war." Boarding pods launched from the Requiem. Mara and her strike team blasted into the station's lower decks. The fighting was brutal. Close. Face to face. One by one, the human soldiers pushed through. They didn't stop. They didn't hesitate. Every corridor taken meant one step closer to Earth. Back on the bridge, Voss watched the battle unfold. They were winning. The Council's finest outpost was falling. And then the moment came. "Commander," Mara's voice crackled through the comms. "The station is ours." A long silence filled the bridge. Then Voss spoke, his voice low but full of fire. "Transmit this message across the galaxy. To every system. Every species. Every survivor. Earth has been reclaimed. Humanity is home." Across the stars, the message echoed. In hidden colonies, humans wept. In council halls, leaders fell silent. And in the heart of the galaxy, Earth abandoned, broken, but never forgotten was finally under human control again. As the fleet settled into orbit, Voss stood in the observation deck. Below him was the world he had only dreamed of. Cracked oceans. Scorched lands. Faded cities. But it was still Earth. Mara joined him. "It's not what I expected." He nodded. "No. But it's ours." She looked out the window. "What now?" Voss took a deep breath. "Now, we rebuild." Earth was back. The stars knew it. The Council knew it. And now, the entire galaxy watched in silence. No more hiding. No more rumors. Humanity had returned. But winning the battle was only the beginning. The UNS Requiem hovered above the Earth like a guardian. Below, the planet spun slowly, scarred, cracked, but still beautiful. The skies were gray. The oceans were sick. But the land still waited for footsteps. Inside the ship, Commander Eli Voss sat alone in the observation deck. For the first time since the war began, there were no alarms. No explosions. No orders to give. Just quiet. Too quiet. Mara entered the room. "We've sent teams to the surface. Cleanup has started. We found some survivors. Underground bunkers, mostly." Voss turned to her, surprised. "After all this time?" She nodded. "They kept the lights off. No signals. Some of them still don't believe we're real." He exhaled slowly. "They'll believe soon enough." On Earth's surface, human boots touched soil again. Old cities were explored, towers half buried in dust, streets cracked and silent. But there were signs of life. Moss on walls. Windmills still turning. Solar panels catching sunlight after centuries. A recovery team found an old school in New Berlin Sector 4. Inside, dusty desks. A faded flag. On the chalkboard, someone had written in broken English, "If you are human, keep fighting." One soldier whispered, "They waited for us." But not all was calm. In deep space, far from Earth, the Galactic Council held a secret meeting. The high speakers were divided. Some wanted peace. Others wanted revenge. "They have Earth," said a Kalari warlord. "But Earth is just a symbol." "They've awakened colonies," growled the Morsic chieftain. "If we wait, they will become a real threat." Admiral Telvar stood in the center of the room. He had fought humans before. He knew what they were capable of. And yet, something about this return felt different. "They won because we forgot who they were," he said. "Not because they were stronger. But because they remembered." The room fell silent. Then the Varn speaker stood. "Very well. Begin Project Ashfall." Telvar turned sharply. That project was banned. The speaker's eyes burned. So was losing to humans. Back on Earth, a team found an ancient beacon under the ruins of the United Nations building. It still blinked, powered by a fusion core that never gave up. Inside the chamber, they found a sealed archive. Thousands of files. Videos. Books. Maps. Culture. Language. History. Humanity's memory, still intact. The data was uploaded to the fleet instantly. It wasn't just a victory. It was resurrection. On the Requiem, Mara scrolled through the archive. She paused on a video black and white, grainy, filled with laughter and music. People danced, she said quietly. They sang. They lived. Voss walked over. They will again. But his voice didn't sound confident. She noticed. You think the council will attack? I know they will, he replied. We hurt them. We embarrassed them. And they never forget. He stared at the screen showing Earth. They'll come for us. Harder than before. And he was right. 3 days later, long-range sensors picked up something in the outer edge of Sol system. A council supercarrier larger than any ship the Requiem had faced approached slowly, surrounded by a fleet of destroyers. The message came soon after. To the human commander. Return Earth to Council control or face extinction. You have 24 hours. Voss stood before his crew. No running, he said. No surrender. They want to erase us again. He looked every soldier in the eye. They forgot who we were once. Let's remind them again. In orbit, ships powered up. Shields raised. Weapons charged. Across Earth, humans young and old watched the skies. Some prayed. Some prepared for war. All of them stood ready. Because now, they had something to protect. Not just a planet. But a future. And far above them, in the cold silence of space, the second battle for Earth was about to begin.